So chapter 6, key issue 2, is about why religions have different distributions. So we'll go over the process of the origin, really, of the three major universalizing religions, Buddhism, Christianity, and Islam. We'll understand the differences in the origin of the universalizing and ethnic religions. We'll talk about the process of diffusion for the universalizing religions, and we'll compare how universalizing religions diffuse and how ethnic religions, how they move about space. So universalizing religions, they have a precise place of origin. So they're often based on the events and the life of an influential human. Ethnic religions are not tied to a single historical individual, so they have unclear or unknown origins. So ethnic religions are going to tie more into the same cultural patterns we saw with folk culture, where you don't necessarily know who started it. We might know where the hearth is, but we don't have the exact origin story. And universalizing religions, we're going to know exactly who kind of started the religion, who is the main prophet, whose teachings are they based on. So one of the big differences between the two is when universalizing religions kind of welcome converts, and ethnic religions don't really look for people to convert to their religions. And also, this has a precise place and story of origin, and ethnic religions are not tied to historical individual. So for the first, one of the three major universalizing religions is Buddhism, and it was founded approximately 2,500 years ago. The founder is Siddhartha, and the origin was in India, so the hearth is in India. Christianity was founded approximately 2,000 years ago, and the founding was based on the teachings of Jesus. The origin was what is present-day Palestine, and Islam was founded about 1,500 years ago. The founder was the Prophet Muhammad, and the origin was in modern-day Mecca in Saudi Arabia. Asia is home to each hearth for Christianity, Islam, and Buddhism. So all the hearths of these major universalizing religions are all found on the continent of Asia. All of the messages were preached to people in the hearth and then moved through relocation diffusion to people elsewhere. But each of these universalizing religions have a distinct diffusion pattern. So if you look at this map, it shows you the diffusion of each of them. So Buddhism has its hearth further east in Asia, so in northern India. And then by the 8th century, it would have spread throughout what's today's China into Japan. And then by the 12th century and after that, it would have spread further up into northern China. Christianity would have spread from Palestine essentially into northern Africa and then throughout Europe. And then Islam spread throughout southwestern Asia and northern Africa, and Islam spread all the way out to Southeast Asia. Christianity spread, of course, through relocation diffusion essentially in the beginning, because people would have moved and brought their religion with them, with missionaries, even from the beginning. But we also have hierarchical diffusion in Christianity, and this was when Emperor Constantine embraced Christianity. The story is that he saw a giant cross after being successful in battle, and he adopted Christianity essentially for the entire Roman Empire at that point. So Christianity fits a pattern of hierarchical expansion diffusion. Christianity is also spread, like all religions, like most culture, through relocation diffusion. So missionaries are individuals who help transmit a religion, so they move to a new area, usually along protected sea routes, Roman roads, and then through colonization all over the world. So with the colonization and the resettlement in North and South America, Australia, and New Zealand, Christianity was spread further through relocation diffusion. And here is a map just kind of showing the initial diffusion of Christianity out of essentially modern day Palestine and Israel throughout the rest of the Middle East. Islam was spread through relocation, diffusion, of course, through missionaries to portions of sub-Saharan Africa and Southeast Asia. But the successors to Muhammad, they organized followers into armies, and they really spread their religion through conquest. So as the Islamic armies conquered most of northern Africa, parts of Eastern Europe, and Western Asia, Islam was spread through conquering. Now, Christianity was spread through conquering a lot of the world as well, but that pattern first matched the hierarchical diffusion into the Roman Empire, and then the Roman Empire clearly spread Christianity in a similar way. But here there was no adoption by one ruler. They just formed armies and kind of conquered most of this area. And then missionaries spread it out further. Buddhism diffused the slowest of the major religions. The Emperor Ashoka was accredited with much of its diffusion throughout the Magadhan Empire from 273 to 232 BC. Missionaries were sent to territories neighboring the different empire, and Buddhism was introduced to China during trade routes in the 1st century AD. But it diffused a little slower. And then you can see the diffusion pattern here in this map. With ethnic religions, most have limited, if any, diffusion because they don't have missionaries. Remember, ethnic religions aren't seeking converts to their religion, so the place of a missionary is non-existent. So if people are moving, if a religion from an ethnic religion is diffusing, it's because people are leaving, if they're moving their area. So many adherents to an ethnic religion might migrate for economic gains. And if they are able to migrate to a new area and they don't have to adopt a new religion because of the culture of the place they're living, they might spread their ethnic religion. Judaism is a little different from other ethnic religions because it's practiced well beyond its place of origin. So Judaism is an ethnic religion that is diffused more widely than most. While other nationalities have histories of being persecuted, the Jews living in the midst of different cultures while retaining their Judaism meant that this is an ethnic group that has been historically persecuted in a way that is documented more than any other group, perhaps. So when Jewish people left the Middle East and moved into Europe, they retained their faith, which made them targets in Europe for persecution all throughout the Middle Ages, the Renaissance, and up till modern times with World War II and the Holocaust. And so historically, Judaism has encountered a huge amount of persecution. After World War II, the Jewish people living in Europe were diffused even further throughout the world. So you have larger clusters of people adhering to Judaism in South America and North America, and then now back in Israel when the Israel homeland was established after World War II. So Judaism's diffusion pattern doesn't really match that of other ethnic religions. And I want to show you kind of an animated map that will kind of detail. So I want to show you this animated map that will detail how religions were spread over the world. And so you can see here, Hinduism, an ethnic religion, is spreading through. And they're giving you a bit of a timeline as well. Remember, Hinduism is an ethnic religion, so it didn't really spread much beyond the realms of what we're looking at here in this map. Here you see the origin of Judaism. Here you see Christianity spreading throughout Europe. Here you see the spread of Islam throughout North Africa, West Asia, and all the way eventually into Southeast Asia. You see that Christianity is continuing to spread at this point. You can see that Buddhism has spread throughout the rest of Asia over here. And you can see that Judaism is still existing in smaller pockets. And these smaller pockets, again, are unique in these diffusion patterns because the people adhering to Judaism never adopted the religious beliefs of the people they're living with. And this marked them up for persecution through no fault of their own, through the actions of others. And today you can see the diffusion of world religions spread out through the world. So here we are getting a little bit closer to modern times. Here we are post-World War II, Israel is established. And so you can see the clear patterns we looked about in key issue 1.